Yeah. So, well, I think that collage of our experiences gave us a bit of a sense, maybe, of well, all the different experiences. I don't know. I mean, we're not all in lockdown, but of this situation that we're finding ourselves in at the moment. So over the past several months, I've noticed that for some people, these conditions, well, there've been some very supportive elements to them. I think maybe that there can be an element of simplification, can't there? And for some people, that seems to have facilitated a real integration, a sort of settling. I'm thinking even of some non-Buddhist friends and family that I've got, where you know, all the sort of constant demands of their normal lives were just sort of cut short. They couldn't involve themselves in that, and for some there was a real sort of sense of release and relief that they could just actually drop some of all of that stuff. And for other people, maybe it's exposed a lot of loneliness and isolation because they're on their own and they don't have, you know, the normal support systems in place. Yeah. And for others, maybe not so much now that the schools have gone back, but having children and partners around. I notice that some of you've arranged to be on different retreats, and you know, we're learning to work around each other, aren't we, in these situations? But for some people who've had children and partners around 24/7, you know, has meant a real squeezing of that mental space, hasn't it? Both in practical terms, just not having the time to themselves that we're used to, but also, you know, we can be spending much more time around those triggers, you know, that really sort of set us off, and we don't have anywhere to go to get away from them. I met up with my niece, who has three teenage sons, and she said she just couldn't believe, you know, spending I don't know how many months with three teenage sons that just grunted the whole time. It was like they were, you know, they were in together, but there was absolutely no communication. Just a lot of hormones, I think. Anyway, she was dying to get away from that. So whatever the situation is for us, I think it, you know, it throws us back on our resources, doesn't it? So, and I think whichever way into that we've come, we all probably, I would suspect, have had some encounters with the monkey mind, yeah, both on and off the cushion. So let's have a look at this monkey mind. So we've got, yeah, we've got this sort of chattering restlessness, yeah, and then not settling, yeah, the jumping about from one thing, one tree to another, if you like. Bante's described this as being distracted from distraction by distraction. Whoops. I don't know if there's any recognition out there, but I always think this is one of my favorite topics, actually, to teach and talk about, because it's the one thing I feel like, yes, I'm a real expert in. I'm a real expert in the distracted mind, so I feel very confident in talking about it. Yeah, I don't know if this resonates with people, but certainly this can be my experience. So monkeys are curious beings, yeah? They're attracted to shiny things. They're playful, actually. They're quite playful, aren't they? There's a lot of energy there. That energy keeps going, doesn't it? Even while, you know, after we're totally exhausted, you know, something just sort of keeps going. And, you know, the other thing we've got, you know, what we share all these, you know, we're sharing all these incredible conditions. We've got, you know, we've got oceans and mountains and nature reserves and, you know, all the things we're sharing, but we're also sharing a huge amount of collective practice. You know, of all the people I know in the room and all the people I don't, you know, that's years and years and years, hours and hours and hours, yeah, of shared collective practice, yeah. All those hours of meditation that we have collectively, you know, we've been taught so many really useful techniques, haven't we? You know, just personally, I've had 40 years of really sophisticated methodology that I've been given, yeah, and that I've worked with. And all of these techniques, the mindfulness, the clarity, you know, the ethical choices that that supports, the metta, yeah, that's incredibly valuable, yeah, incredibly valuable. And the monkey mind is very, very, very clever, yeah. Well, mine is anyway. Very clever, very crafty, very slippery and evasive. And it seems to have endless tricks, endless tricks and ways of taking over. Yeah. And what's more, if we sort of, if we let this get on top of us, if we get too upset and don't respond wisely with perspective and self-metta, if you like, the mind can become even more powerfully resistant. Yeah, it becomes more like a bull than a monkey at that point. Yeah, I don't know if you've known this. You sort of, you know, you're just up against that, just pushing back. So yes, we've had, you know, I've talked about the sort of the jumping around, the restlessness, but at this point we also come into contact with the sort of more insistent, repetitive, blaming, hurtful, anxious, undermining, depressive, stubbornly obstructive, even destructive tendencies of mind. Yeah. I don't know. I wonder about this. I don't know if behind every monkey mind there's a lurking bull, but it can certainly seem like that sometimes, can't it? That there's sort of this, and maybe this is why we keep up here, because we're sort of we're trying to keep up above that sort of strong energy of which can feel quite sort of stubborn or destructive of that sort of the bull-like mind, if you like. So the question that this poses to me, and what we're going to be exploring really this week, is how can we obtain our heart's release when it's acting up all the time? Yeah. So that's what we'll be exploring this week. I also want to, in this sort of act of exploration, I just want to mention that we will be using metta-based practices to explore this, yeah, because I think the heart, in a way, is the key in this. But I also want to stress that the act of exploring, engaging, connecting itself, yeah, the very act of coming into relationship with this is an act of connection. It's an act of metta. Yeah. So we don't need to, it's not like we're putting metta, we're bringing metta and applying it to the situation. It's the way in which we are with ourselves, the curiosity, the playfulness, the gentleness, the openness, the interest, all of that is a wish for happiness, is a wish for release, is a wish for beneficial outcome. Yeah. Does that make sense? It's quite subtle, actually, but it's like it's so important, the way in which we come into relationship with what we're looking at here. Yeah. And it's something that we always have access to fine tune that. However difficult what it is we're coming into relationship is. So to do this, we'll be exploring and collecting, if you like, collecting on our journey. We'll be collecting the resources that we need to, well, that will be really helpful to go further with this. So we'll be coming into connection with our bodies, our breath, our immediate experience, the experience of the environment around us. So coming into this sort of direct relationship with our sensory experience is really helpful for grounding, for taking the energy away from those distractions and the mental activity. Yeah, it's almost, you can sense a sort of a physical sort of dropping. Yeah, takes the energy out of all the stories. And sometimes it's like, you know, depending on the amount of energy involved, the amount of distraction that we have, sometimes that can be enough, actually, and any of these things can be enough. But because of the sort of underlying tendencies that we have, it's like when we go on retreat and come back off, things come back in. Yeah, things have a way of coming back in. Yeah, so what we're going to do once we've sort of contacted that groundedness is we're going to explore our really of the reason why we're here sitting on the cushion, the reason why we're if you like, going for refuge to the practice. We're going to explore our authentic intention, yeah, in practicing, to explore, yeah, what's really meaningful, important to us. Yeah, what's our heart's resolve, our own connection, what's the most deep meaning and value to us. Yeah, because if we know that, then that's a really helpful resource to when the going gets a bit tougher. Yeah, when you know, the mind starts to resist a bit more, or just really doesn't want to go there. You know, we've got a heart connection with a reason why we do want to go there. Yeah. So once we've explored our heart connection, we're going to bring that into relationship with the practice on the cushion, into sort of relationship with the monkey mind. Yeah, will enable that to help us shift gear, to help us to sort of drop that to-do list mind, if you like. This is a phrase that I've got from Maitri Devi. She talks about transitioning to heart time. Yeah, that sort of, it's not clock time, it's heart time, which is a very different sort of time. So then we'll explore shamatha a bit. We're releasing the mental chatter, deepening the calm, creating the conditions for the heart to release and ease and the mind to settle. Yeah. And engaging even more deeply. Don't worry if you're not getting at this. I'm just giving you a sort of little map, an overview of the week. But we will go obviously into this in much more detail. So then we'll well, having come into contact with our experience, if you like, we'll engage even more deeply. We'll look with eyes of love and enter into an even more curious, open relationship with that monkey mind. Learning its language, maybe. What is it that it's trying to communicate to us? Until, well, it gets to the point when we're so deeply in tune that we don't even need to feel separate from it, yeah, polarized from it, or fighting it in opposition to it, yeah. And out of this love and a deep sense of connectedness, we can even let go of the whole story of me, you know, that ultimately fuels all the kleshas and prapancha, yeah, all the tendencies and distractions are fueled by this sort of this holding together of this sense of me in the center. So relieving a deep natural feeling of harmony and integration, which naturally expresses itself as a sort of flowing responsiveness to life in all its manifestations. So at this point, we can say the heart is fully released. So that's the journey we'll be taking. And as I said earlier, I invite you, if your conditions allow, to make the most of this time by reducing input if you can, taking time to walk or connect with nature in whatever way is possible for you. If conditions allow, you could do a pre-breakfast sit. Hopefully that will, because I will be leading through a few of the meditations, so it will give you a chance to just really sort of allow for your personal explorations and allow you to sort of explore the material in your own ways a bit more fully. So in the mornings, in this session, we'll cover some of the ground that I've just laid out for you with guided practices and hopefully a chance for some questions and clarifications at that point.